Jonestown's massacre. My essential question is, as a cult leader, how did Jim Jones influence and control the people of Jonestown psychologically? Jim Jones was the leader of the People's Temple. He was able to gain the influence from people all around the world. How did he do it? He had a cult of personality. This term might ring a bell. If you guys remember, Miss New talked about this term a few weeks back with Hitler. He also had a cult of personality. A cult of personality refers to a massive praise or admiration toward a political or historical figure. He or she utilizes mass media, propaganda, or other methods to create an idealized, heroic, or at times a godlike image. Jim Jones achieved this reputation through performing many remarkable healings, which continued to draw new members into the fold. He also preached of socialism, and he was a self-proclaimed messiah of the People's Temple religious cult. In his preachings, he would tell his people, I want you to enjoy the fuss I have, the courage that I have, the compassion that I have, the love that I have, your all-encompassing mercy that I have. I want you to be what I am and something greater. Jones not only preached about his love, but also against racism. His new and fresh ideas created an aurora of legitimacy and continuity in the people's eyes. Jones even promised his followers utopia if they followed him. This utopia was a piece of land in Guyana. Before this land was built in the U.S. in the late 1960s, there was a civil rights movement and the Vietnam War protests, all of which were very violent. During this time, many citizens felt unsafe and felt like they were treated unequally. Jones' son, Stephen Jones, explained Jones's approach at the time. A guy like my dad found out what you wanted to hear and see and showed it to you, whatever you were looking for or whatever you were running from or running toward. Dad had an uncanny ability to hook into that. It's exhilarating and very attractive. Once you get hooked by that, it's really hard to get unhooked. Jones knew that the people were vulnerable now at this time before people wanted something steady and safe. Jones became what the people needed. He began to create a bond with these people. Jones went beyond money and public influence. He was about the emotional tie that forged himself and the people together. He positioned himself as the father of all. This seemed like a dream come true. Everyone lived in a land of peace and unity until things started to go downhill. Jones started to be accused of physical and sexual abuse and forced drugging. His very own son confirms these rumors. From what I've seen and what was reported was true. It wasn't good, such as torture, abuse, deceit, theft, fake healing, drugging of people, punishing of children, the drumming up of fear. All of these secrets were slipping, and Jones feared the government would ruin what he worked so hard for. So he began to use violence. Jones' existence laid in the hands of those who perceived him, so he didn't want to lose that. Jones gained more power and control with the more abuse he used on his people, and just when the people can't take it anymore, Jones offered his bit of kindness. This led the people to feel a deep sense of gratitude and debt towards Jones. Another way Jones kept his power was by conducting suicide drills at night, which he called White Night. The people would receive a cup with a red liquid that they were told contained poison, which they were ordered to drink. After 45 minutes or so, the members would tell them that they weren't going to die, and they passed a loyalty test. An even more frightening approach, Jones would enforce disciplinary beatings, forcing his people to turn over their property and, in some case, custody of their own child. Jones inflicted so much harm in his followers in goals of breaking them down their identities to the point that it doesn't even work anymore. Then he replaces it with another set of behaviors, attitudes, and beliefs that work with the people's current environment. In addition to abusing people, Jones isolated his people from the outside world. Guyana was surrounded by hundreds of miles of forest, and there was no means of communication with the outside world. There was no phone or television. This place was remote and inaccessible. He controlled their sleeping patterns, eating, using the bathroom, and the fulfillment of basic human needs. Jones did this daily. He would also preach over the loudspeakers of Jonestown repeatedly and daily. He made statements that defined his people and eventually causing his people to break down and doubt their own perspectives of who they are. Researchers of the University of Michigan have come to call the phenomenon memory distortion, and it's basically a brain glitch where the display of repetition and assumption makes us form our beliefs around whatever opinion is most similar to us. Why didn't they leave, you ask? One true reason is they stayed is a true, deeply implanted fear that they cannot make it in the world alone. On top of that, Jones had brainwashed all his followers to believe that what he preached was right, to the point where they would not only give up their own lives but also their children's lives. Jim Jones was ultimately able to psychologically alter his people.